guys, it's been a while. I'm so excited to share with you today's recipe. It's my brinjal pickle recipe. This is one that has been requested a few times on this channel, and I'm so glad I can finally share it with you. For today's brinjal pickle, I'm going to use 2 large brinjals. I prefer using the dark skin variety for these. Even if you have the thinner versions of the dark skin brinjal, that'll work fine. Just make sure that you don't use the lighter purple and white striped or the variegated variety. Those are usually smaller, and I personally find the skin a lot tougher on those, and these ones just work a lot better for this recipe. Start off by cutting the brinjal into half-inch cubes. In order to get a nice even slicing on these pieces, I usually cut them into thickish slices like you can see here. And then I cut down each slice into about 4, 6 or 8 pieces, depending on how large the brinjal is. You don't want to cut these down too small because they will just disappear into that pickle. You still want a few chunks to remain in there. I like to have a little bit of that brinjal skin on each of those pieces, and that's the reason why I'm chopping it up this way. This is just a matter of preference, and I also happen to think that it works well. It also gives you an opportunity to trim off any blemished portions of the brinjal as you go along. The brinjal's all cut up, sprinkle about 4 teaspoons of salt all over the vegetable and give these pieces a good toss. The salt will help to draw out all the excess moisture in the brinjals. After you've given it a good toss, making sure that the salt is distributed well through those pieces, you're going to leave this bowl aside on the kitchen counter for at least 2 hours to draw out all the excess moisture. In the meanwhile, we can actually start prepping the rest of the ingredients. We're going to start off with ginger. In all, you're going to need about 3 inches worth of ginger. I'm just going to trim off some of the portions of skin. You can leave the skin in there if you'd like. Just make sure to scrub off any excess mud or dirt carefully. And I'm going to chop this up into smaller pieces to help the grinding process. You're going to need about 20 small to medium sized cloves of garlic. If the cloves of garlic you have are on the largest side, you might want to drop the quantity down a little to compensate for the size. Peel the garlic and again roughly chop it and set it aside. I'm keeping today's recipe really simple, so I'm going to start off by grinding my spice paste now. Add the ginger and garlic to the blender jar, followed by a heaping tablespoon of dried fenugreek leaves or kasuri methi, 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds, about 12 cloves, 4 teaspoons of Kashmiri chili powder, about 1.5 teaspoons of turmeric powder, and we're going to grind all these spices into a beautiful paste with about 3/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. My camera did not capture me adding the other 2 portions of it, but in all I've used about 3/4 cup. Once it's ground to a fine paste, you're going to end up with a beautiful, vibrant and really fragrant spice blend like this. When the brinjals had 2 hours to sit salted, we're going to drain out all the excess moisture. I just do this by squeezing the pieces of brinjal between my hands. Just be careful not to crush the pieces completely. You just want to draw out all the excess moisture. Have a look at all that excess moisture that the salt has drawn out. Just discard this liquid. Our brinjal pieces are now ready to be used. In a large pan, heat 3/4 cup of mild neutral oil. I'm just using sunflower oil here today. It may seem a little excessive, but the oil is one of the things that's going to help preserve your pickle for an extended period of time. Heat the oil on a medium heat, and once it has warmed up, we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of mustard seeds. And we're going to wait for these mustard seeds to splutter. You might want to stand back during this process because these seeds have a tendency to jump out of the pan. When the seeds start sputtering, you're going to add about 2 sprigs of curry leaves. Make sure that these curry leaves are nice and dry before you add it to the pan, or you're going to end up with a lot of oil splashing. Try and minimize that by ensuring these leaves are as dry as possible. Once the oil settles down a little bit, carefully add in the spice paste. Give that a good stir, and on a medium-low heat, you're going to let the spice paste cook off for about 10 minutes. Stir at regular intervals to make sure that the spice paste is not burning at the bottom or sticking to the bottom of the pan. Remember to add in about a spoon or two of vinegar to the mixer jar just to kind of extract any of the leftover spice paste from there and add it to the pan while it's cooking. Once the spice paste has cooked off for about 10 minutes, you'll see that it has gotten a darker, deeper color, and you'll also notice the oil separating at the sides of the pan. At this point, add the brinjal pieces to the pan. Carefully stir that all through to make sure that the brinjal is coated with that beautiful spice mix. And you're going to let this cook away for another 10 minutes, stirring every now and then, stirring very gently to ensure that the pieces don't break down. After 10 minutes, you'll notice that the brinjal pieces are a little on the tender side, but they haven't turned to mush, and that's exactly what you're looking for at this stage. At this stage, add half a cup of sugar to the pan. Now this is what gives a good brinjal pickle that quintessential, slightly sweet, slightly salty, slightly spicy and tangy, all at once flavor. That being said, this is not excessively sweet. If you prefer a pickle that's slightly on the sweeter side, you might want to consider adding a little bit more sugar. Once all of the sugar has melted into the pickle, give the pickle a taste and see if you want to add more sugar. Remember that these flavors will mellow and mingle as the pickle stands. So bear that in mind when you're making any adjustments to the spice mix the first time around. At this point, also check for salt. You may need to add an additional quarter teaspoon of salt to the pickle, and this is a great time to make that addition. We're now going to let this pickle cook for another 5 minutes to make sure that that sugar melts down and incorporates into our pickle really well. After 5 minutes, you will see the oil separating from your pickle like you can see here. And that's it. You've got yourself an amazing batch of brinjal pickle ready to be set aside and enjoyed with your meals. Store this pickle. Make sure you're using a heat-proof bottle. A glass bottle is best for this. You can use mason jars if you'd like. I like to bottle my pickle while it's still hot. Make sure you're using oven mitts because the bottle can get a little hot. By bottling the pickle while it's hot, it actually helps create a little bit of a vacuum and prolongs the shelf life of this pickle. Wipe down the rim of the bottle and make sure you've got a little extra layer of those spices and that oil from the pan covering the top of your pickle. Pop the lid on while it's still hot, and you're going to set this aside on your counter till it cools down completely. I managed to get one big bottle and a little jar of pickle this time around. Now this pickle is best enjoyed about a week after it's been made. I just leave this in a cool, dark place for about a week before we crack into it and start enjoying it. After that 1 week to 10 days has passed, I usually store this pickle refrigerated and it lasts for months without any problem whatsoever. Just make sure that the glass bottle that you're using is completely dry, and make sure to use a spoon that's completely dry to serve or decant your pickle. A couple of weeks have now passed since we made that pickle. I know the top looks a little dry, but don't worry, that's perfectly fine. You're going to see that there's a beautiful luscious pickle tucked under there. This brinjal pickle is beautiful with a rice and curry and also works amazingly well with the dal and rice. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's simple recipe that results in such a beautiful pickle at the end of it all. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for watching today. I'm going to see you really soon in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye.